Hi there, my name is Chelsea Rye, and this is my presentation on our recent scientific translation assignment for English 2005. So, what is an arboreal histosol is the title of my magazine webpage that I created for this scientific translation. I translated the article Arboreal Histosols in Old Growth Redwood Forest Canopies, Northern California by researchers Heather A. Inlow, Robert C. Graham, and Stephen C. Sillett. And this presentation is going to focus on the reflection paper that we did as a response to the scientific translation. This image up in the corner is the cover page for my online science magazine, I guess. So I made very specific choices in making this scientific translation. I pinpointed a very specific audience. I designed the webpage to be visually appealing. I used different vocabulary and style choices to appeal to a wider audience, and I formatted the article to make it more readable. So in picking a very specific audience, I tried to emulate one of the popular science magazines that I have read before. I think that BBC Science Focus does a really great job of having a web article, which not every popular science magazine is capable of doing, I think. They're very easy to read on mobile specifically, and I think for a lot of us, that's kind of the way we do most of our reading these days. And so I tried to imagine that my audience was the same audience as the people that read BBC Science Focus. For the media design, so the actual website is multiple pages, and I used a parallax effect, which is when you scroll down, you just go to the next page instead of having to find a link. It is a multiple page read. I felt that separating my article into separate pages adds more variety to the read and also just, gives readers a little break in between. I tried to use a fairly simple design, and I tried to include images of the actual ecological setting in which you might find arboreal histosols. And I also tried to balance the negative space in these blocks. So there's not just text in the whole thing. There is actually some space in between. And I think that that balance makes things a little more visually appealing for readers. For vocabulary and style, there's a couple things that I did in the actual writing to turn this research paper into a more enjoyable popular science read. So I tried to explain a lot of different vocabulary words, expand on some topics, and kind of minimize other topics that I thought were very specialized to people that are soil scientists. So you can see here, this is an example of how I explain the unfamiliar vocabulary in my web page. I tried to highlight it by making it bold, and then I either would explain it in the same sentence or in the sentence right after. So you get new vocab word and a definition immediately following. I thought that was important to not only kind of maintain the integrity of the translation, so not taking out all of the technical material, but still appeal to the science-minded people that are reading BBC Science Focus. Because most of those people are still going to expect things like the scientific names and some technical terms that they might not understand, but the magazine will explain for them. So I used informal phrases and words to appeal to a wider audience, because even though the readers of BBC Science Focus are going to expect some technical terms, they're still wanting to read something that's not a research paper. So more informal writing really fits for this assignment. So for formatting, it's kind of just how I broke up my article into common questions. So I tried to think of, if I am someone who is reading this article about arboreal histosols, what are some questions that I might have? So anticipating those questions that the audience might have, I made those as the headings for different sections, and each section explains the question above it. I thought that was really simple, still enjoyable to read, and those people that maybe don't want to read the whole article but have a few questions can find their answers really easily. I also used magazine concepts to kind of legitimize my publication. So I have a logo, which is the little umbrella you'll see on the first and the last page, and I included like an issue number and the month. So this is kind of an example page from the actual website. This is the first page of the article, so not that first cover page that was on our second slide. And you can kind of see all of the choices that I made in this one slide, or in this one page. Here's the magazine kind of legitimizing thing, imagery balanced with the text, text balanced with negative space, and then the use of these headings, and defining possible unfamiliar terms. And in case you weren't reading this while I was talking, an arboreal histosol is a soil that develops in treetops or in forest canopies, which I think is really interesting, that you could be staring up at these giant trees and there's actually soil above your head that other plants are growing in. All right, and so here's my works cited for the original article, and then here's my link for my own publication. I'll be including this link on my submission so that you don't have to try to write this down if you're wanting to read it. So thank you everyone for listening to my presentation.